Rents have risen at the fastest rate for 7 years. Who would have thought this? Increasing interest rates, making mortgages very, very difficult to service.
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us.
Huh?
Who would have thought?
Not me.
This article by the BBC describes the situation that anybody could have predicted. Tenants in properties owned by private landlords have faced the highest rise in rent since comparable records began 7 years ago.
Wow.
Rents rose 4% last year as landlords who faced their own squeezes from mortgage rates passed on the costs. Now, from a logical perspective, if you're a landlord and you were paying £300 per month or £400 per month at a 2% interest rate, if the interest rate goes to 4%, you're paying double that. The interest rate has actually gone from more like 1%, where it was when a lot of people started their mortgages, to anywhere from 4.5% to 6%, maybe more if you've got bad credit. So the current situation is very dire for people who are tenants because ultimately they're at the mercy of their landlords for the most part. And there are things they can do. But as a tenant myself right now, hopefully not for long, it is a difficult thing to manage having rent increases. Now, me personally, my rent went from £700 to £725, and I thought that was very fair, and I agreed to it straight away. However, for some people, they're having percentage increases to their rent. So if you're paying £1,500 a month in London and you have a 10% rent increase, that's an extra £150 a month taken away from your take-home pay. That's a lot of money. A quarter of tenants surveyed in December said their rent had risen in the past 6 months. Now, this is data from the ONS, so it's pretty standard data, and obviously I can attest to that myself. Renters proportionally spend more on housing costs than owners do.
That's the whole point.
Well, that's not a surprise, because usually if you're renting, you're either further behind in your career, you have less family help. If you're renting, usually you're from a lower socioeconomic background or just younger, so your salary is probably lower as well. Essentially,
Rich gets richer and poor gets poorer.
on average, they pay 24% of weekly expenditure on housing compared with 16% of those with a mortgage, basically. So, this is no surprise. People who are renting usually they're renting because they don't have a choice. Very few people are like, look, I can buy a house, especially in the UK. There's very few people who make the business decision that renting is a superior thing for them to do. As much as these gurus like Andrew Tate and, God knows who else say that buying a house is trapping yourself to one location. Realistically, the average man in the UK or average woman in the UK is not jet setting to Dubai
Habibi, come to Dubai.
or Miami every other weekend. We're stuck here because our jobs are here. And ultimately, if your job is in London or in Birmingham or in Manchester, you want to buy a house there because your job's probably going to stay there. Very few people move cities job hunting. It's quite rare outside of the first couple of years of your career. The one benefit of having a mortgage is if it's fixed for any period of time, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, whatever, for that period of time, you know what you're paying. And realistically, I do think interest rates will increase a little bit, but I don't know how far they can go. If interest rates go to the base rate goes something stupid like 10%, for example, there's going to be a civil war in the UK. It just cannot maintain the status quo with the current situation. So that's unlikely to occur. But right now, things are pretty bad as it is. The ONS says 1.4 million households will be renewing their mortgages this year. So, I think the problem here is a lot of those people have bought houses when they were a lot cheaper. If you bought a house for £100,000 or £150,000 and that house is now worth £300,000, which is not impossible, you can remortgage with a higher loan to value. And although you still have a massive amount of payment still to make, realistically, you could probably get away with it. I don't think there's going to be as many defaults as people think they are. I think, generally speaking, the people who had got mortgages a long time ago have paid off enough of them to not be a problem. I don't think we're going to have a 2008 situation, but prices will fall because new people just won't be coming into the market. Yeah, so again, a small increase in the interest rate means a massive increase in mortgage cost. A 4% increase in interest rate just on £100,000 borrowed. And let's be real, in the UK, you're borrowing a lot more than £100,000. You're borrowing closer to this amount here, £300,000. You're probably paying an extra £600, close to £700 a month, and that's massive. Who can afford extra £700 a month? Not me, and I really doubt most people can as well. So here's a mortgage calculator, so you can be stressed. Me personally, I'm about to take out a mortgage about that much. I'm going for a 35-year term because I want to have the option to repay. I've got a deal for about that much. Let's say the interest rate goes 10% for whatever reason. I'll be paying an extra. It is doable, but ideally we don't want that to happen. Do you know what I mean? From my logic, from my perspective, although it's bad, I don't know how much worse it can get from an interest rate perspective. I think house prices will definitely fall, but I think ultimately the lack of competition for buying is a positive in some ways. There is some opportunity here, so do what you want, take the risks you can take. It's a bit of a sticky one. I don't think anyone's winning per se. However, there's plenty of losers to go around, and the people who are going to snap up those cheap properties for cash, I guess they're the ones who are winning. So again, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Welcome to Free Market Economics 101. Let's go.